I started stacking my guitar layers like this, and it made a massive difference. And I'm pretty sure this is why my old mixes used to sound pretty muddy and just kind of gross. So guitar is super interesting because it's a very mid-range forward instrument, but there's a lot of frequency that's happening all across the spectrum on guitars, especially in like rock and metal. This isn't really a rock or metal song. This is more like a pop rock song in this case, but there's still a lot of stuff going on in the guitar. So if I actually just solo all the guitars here just for a second, and this is just the rhythm guitars, and I open up an EQ just so we can see what frequencies are being present in this mix. This is what it looks like here. So we have like 6K all the way down to, 60 hertz, right? And I know that we could cut a lot of that stuff out, but it doesn't sound bad. It sounds actually great in the context of the mix. So why in the world would we cut that if it still sounds good? But nevertheless, there's still a lot going on here. There's so much that's being covered across this frequency spectrum. So when you add more guitar layers, you're just adding more stuff in the frequency spectrum that's here. And so I used to just stack more guitar layers on. I would try to quad track things, and by all means, that stuff does work in some cases, but it just never felt great. And then I started changing up how I layered my guitars. And there was really two main ways I started doing this. A lot of people were saying you need to mix it differently, you need to put the EQ in a different spot, and you need to boost this one and cut this one and all this other stuff, and it would get better, but it never sounded the way I wanted it to. And so then I started using different amp sims, and maybe that would be the thing, and I'd use a different amp for the different layers, and that did help a little bit, but it still wasn't sounding the way I wanted to. And now I usually do everything on two main things. First and foremost, let me grab my guitar. First and foremost is I change exactly how I play the instrument. So instead of having like the same chords or in the same octave, I will actually change things up. I will get into a different octave. Without EQ or anything else, it completely changes the overall tone of the sound. And then finally is I will change what pickup I'm using. So whether I'm using the neck pickup or I'm using the bridge pickup, whether I'm using a single coil or a humbucker, all of that stuff will make a big difference in the overall tone. And then what happens is it sounds like it's cohesive. I'm playing the same amp, I'm playing in a similar style, but I'm changing things up enough to keep it separate. So I'll change the pickup and I'll change the parts that I'm playing. So let's actually dive into how I'm doing that here. So first and foremost is these main guitars that I have here. These are just rhythm guitars. I'm playing the E chord here. Really simple. And then that second layer that I have here is adding octaves. That's going and sliding up. Just changing the parts up makes a massive difference. If you think this is pretty obvious, yeah, it is. But I should have been doing this a lot sooner. So that's the first way I've been doing this. And then the second way is when I start adding my leads, I have been changing up the specific pickup that I've been using as well. So for example, this, I use my Telecaster for this, and I was using the middle pickup. So, well, there is no middle pickup in a Telecaster, but I was using the neck and the bridge pickup at the same time to get this tone. And then for here, I was using the bridge pickup. And I was playing a lot higher as well. So they're all sharing a similar frequency spectrum, frequency range. They're all using the same amp, so things sound cohesive, but it still sounds separate. And in the context of the track, it just adds this really nice, rich and full sound to everything. So come on over, it just feels so right. We'll sing without the guitars. With the guitars. It sounds fantastic. If you guys want a full session breakdown, do have a link to that down in the description below if you are interested. You get the stems for free as well, and I kind of show you the tools and everything that I used to replicate one of my songs. And if you like this video, you're probably going to like more videos on my channel. Videos right there. YouTube's recommending it to you, and hopefully they're recommending a good one from my channel. Talk soon. Peace.